Hey there. Today I'm going to show you how to glue a fretboard onto a guitar neck. This is a guitar that I'm putting together for a client in the UK, and I'm putting a roasted maple neck together with this catalog fretboard with the one fret marker at the 12th, and then I'll add some more stuff later on. This video is just going to be more about how I make sure that everything's straight and clamped up nicely and glued up nicely as well. So to start with, I have my neck. It's been routed for the truss rod. The truss rod has been installed and it's been flattened on the top and the back as well. The fretboard, what I do is I bring it to something nice and flat on the back as well, and flat on the top as well. And then I slot everything for the frets, and then I also make a slot for the nut to go in here. So everything here will be ready to go together. Essentially, there's no gaps here underneath. Now the next thing that I do is I use indexing pins, of which I have 2 here, and I use different size pins because that's what I have. So I mark them for the different frets. This one's a little smaller, so it goes here at the I don't know, 21st fret, I believe. And you can see there's a little hole here, and that goes through the fretboard and also into the roasted maple. So when I glue everything up, these indexing pins will keep everything in place. Now, of course, before I drilled out those holes earlier today, I clamped everything and measured everything to make sure everything was perfectly square. And then I just used my egg beater drill with these bits to make the holes for the indexing pins. So this is the step that we're at now. The next thing I want to do is I want to get some glue on everything. And also quickly, I'll mention that I do sand everything quickly right before gluing, just to kind of open up some new wood. And then I also make sure that I get a lot of the dust off, because dust will get in the way of your glue up job. So the next thing you want to do here is you want to glue up your fretboard and your neck together, but you don't want to get much glue into your truss rod slot. So the way you do that is you tape it off. I'm using masking tape here, or painter's tape. There. And you don't have to be very precise here. You want to be just about in the middle. Oh, that's a little off there. Sorry, that masking tape's a little too thick. I'll use this one here instead. Oh yeah, this is much better. I can actually see what I'm doing here. There we go. So we have the truss rod marked off now, so I'll put some glue on this surface here, quite a bit of it. Then another thing I can do, which is kind of optional, is that I can place it once quickly, see where the glue goes on the fretboard, and add a little bit more so you have a lot of squeeze out. Yeah, I think I'll do that today. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I'm using Titebond III wood glue here. And it works quite well for joining these 2 woods. The catalog is oily. It's a dense, like tropical hardwood. And then the roasted maple is torrefied or roasted. So they don't, either of them don't really take glue in extremely well. because of the oils in the catalogs and because of the roasting process in the maple. So you want to, for me, it's helpful to add a little extra insurance, I guess, to A, make sure I have a lot of glue, and then B, sand the surfaces so there's new wood there. So hopefully all the oils don't come up to the surface immediately. That's in the catalogs, or the catalage. All right, so next, I'll place my pins in here, and one thing I always forget to do is to make sure I can see my pins, especially the one around the first fret here. I always miss it. I think it's under here. Ta-da. Yeah, there it is. There we go. The glue does tend to cover up the marks in the fretboard. So I'll put this one in. Get glue on that stuff. That's in. And then over here, I can't see either. There. So now I have glue on both the fretboard and the neck. The neck. Usually this would be where I stop with, like, if it was maple on maple, unroasted maple on unroasted maple or something like that. But might as well spend an extra minute and put a bit of extra glue here, so you can kind of see where there might be a little bit of glue missing, especially right here. Okay, perfect. Now I've got glue on both surfaces, and I can go ahead and remove masking tape. Left over here. And then I'll just go and add a little bit more towards where the masking tape was, just to make sure there's some there. But the idea is that the squeeze out should be enough to kind of join those two areas together. So the pin goes back in here on both sides. And I can see both of my pins here, so that's good. All right, so once I get this in, I'll have to figure out how to clamp it all up. There we go. Perfect. So both pins are in. I'm exactly where I want it to be. There's, I believe, 5 mils side to side here and 9 mils side to side here, so it's perfectly centered. And I also marked off where I want the the nut to start. Then I have all my frets up to the 21st here, or the 22nd, I forget what this is. So everything's lined up here. The next thing is gluing. My benchy was quite dirty, so I just used this piece of pine here to protect the roasted maple. And I also have a couple gluing cauls. You can also just go straight, clamp onto the fretboard, but you'll get much more even clamping pressure with the caul. Caul's nothing fancy, it's just a piece of 2x4. And you want to clamp it in the long way, not like this, so you have more effective clamping area. I'm not quite sure how to call it. This one I also have to size a little bit, so there's just a little bit of space on the sides. So I'll clamp that up, and then I have 2 other clamping cauls for the outsides of the pins. If that makes sense. And And let's put 6 on here. I'll get my 6 clamps on here. And the clamp at the caul as well, you want to make sure that it's centered pretty well. That's the clamping side, yep. And you can take your time clamping everything here. Just sort of start slowly, finger tight on the clamps, and then you can kind of increase the pressure rate as you start seeing it squeeze out. There we go. So those are just kind of finger tight now. Here you have the option, you can remove the pins if you want, or you can keep them in. I usually take them out, but after only a few minutes, after maybe 10-15 minutes, because they're hard to take out later. And if you're using a sort of a whiter, blonder wood, you might get some metal reacting with the glue. So if you had a maple fretboard that was unroasted there, you might want to take that pin out a little bit earlier. Perfect. And then the clamp in the back. The way I make my necks, they're a little bit wider than they have to be right now. I usually take off about a ½ mil on either side, so it does a really good job of cleaning up that glue line, making it look really precise. So yeah, there you have it. That's how you clamp a fretboard onto a guitar neck. I'll leave this in the clamps for while I go to work. Probably tonight I'll unclamp it and have a look at it. And then the next thing I do is put the frets in, the fret markers in, bring it all down to size, and get that radius of the transition in the headstock, and a couple other things as well. Yeah, thanks for watching.